Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusters.pod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters.
What is your favourite April Fool's?
Absolutely no punch. No punch whatsoever.
What
is your favourite April Fool's? What is your favourite trick?
I want to know something, boys.
Yeah.
Now we just started. We've started it. That's all you're getting.
Do your podcast host voice, Adam. Imagine you were the podcast host.
I do a podcast sideman.
You did it once before. I heard it.
So, lads, what's your favourite April Fool's?
Oh, that's too much. That
was incredibly knobbish.
Well, I tell you, let me have a think. April Fools.
I always think of the Simpsons episode. That's the one I always think of when he shakes up Homer's beer too much and it blows up the house.
Yes, that's a good one on telly. That didn't happen to you, yeah.
I haven't got an April Fool's. I've got a February Fool's.
See, this is completely derailed already.
But it's a good story.
You just fall down the stairs.
This is related to April Fools.
It's not related to April Fool's, but it relates to being fooled.
Go on then.
Listeners, will we allow it?
Well, you know I'm the one who breaks the rules on this podcast.
You are. Go on then.
It was once upon a time at my birthday.
Oh, yes.
We're all at a all-we-can-eat restaurant.
Oh.
It was like a world food buffet thing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was a world food buffet. And then both Ben and Adam decided to give my birthday card, which inside had a scratch card in. So
I was not involved in this, by the way. This was Adam.
I thought you were both involved in this.
No, this was
It
an
was just
Adam
me.
one.
Hey, Ben does not want to take the flak for this. So it all happened. It all crescendoed at a very big moment.
We just decided to
all
do
at
it.
once.
Yes. We didn't know this part was happening.
No. So I was opening my card. I got out the scratch card. I was like, oh, scratch card. Let me scratch the card. Just while I'm doing it, the cake comes out. Happy birthday to you. Everyone's singing. I'm standing up like, oh, it's my cake. But I've also just won 50 grand or something on this scratch card.
250 grand.
250 grand on this scratch card, which I'd been paying off all my mortgage in my head. And I was like, how can everyone be singing happy birthday to me right now when I've just literally won all this money? This
You
is the
literally
weirdest
did the
moment
last scratch as the cake came out. So your face...
Couldn't have timed it better.
And I was like, Zoe, we've won £250,000.
That is what I remember the most from because I was sat opposite you, and I remember seeing you completely disinterested in this cake, and you were like, "Oh my god, Zoe."
And she was like, I was so confused as why she wasn't as excited as I was.
But did she know?
No, she didn't know.
No, she didn't know, but she was also like,
I think you were the only person, you and Jenny were the only people
not real.
that knew.
That's funny.
And so, yes.
No.
After I'd made a fool of myself thinking I'd won, it was then that Adam told me that it was fake. And it was the most disappointing feeling I could have ever had.
I've given them to a lot of people, Paul, and only you and my sister's boyfriend have really thought it was happening.
Yeah, but do you know why? Because people, like your matey crowd, obviously know that it's all about pulling tricks all the fucking time and scamming, so you would never trust a scratch card.
You always give it to people in if we do a Secret Santa and I gave one then, as part of a present, you wrap it up into other stuff. So it's and I put real scratch cards in it. I put a real scratch card in it for Paul as well, I think.
Did he give you a real one to soften the blow?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
There should have been. I normally put 2 fake ones in there, and then
This is how many times he does it, everyone.
Oh, he's such a liar, this guy.
He's such a
Fun.
liar.
But it was fun to.
It was all
It
worth
was-
it when you get moments like
It
this.
was a fun memory to look back on, but at the time I was very upset.
Was it your 30th?
Yes.
Yes. It
I
was
can
my
only
30th
imagine.
birthday.
I can
Oh,
only
it's
imagine
fine.
the disappointment.
It's fine.
When you think you're spending, when in your head you're
spent
spending
it
that
all.
money.
I was like, this is a game changer, mate. This is a game changer.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my foolish February. That's what we call it.
That's a good one. That is a good one. I'm trying to think of.
Got any April Fools?
I don't think I do. This is
I don't
very
think we really do
disappointing.
April Fools here, do we?
My granddad used to do April Fools, and I can't really remember any of them. But they were always like silly little ones. But he would always do them. I think it's hard to April Fool people nowadays because everyone makes such a big deal online about it that you're constantly on guard for anything.
You're so aware that it's 1st of April.
Nowadays, it's just more like statements from celebrities, like the Frank Bruno fighting Jake Paul kind of shit, or like I've retired, or like all that kind of stuff.
Well, my uncle did a good one yesterday, actually, on his LinkedIn. He's got a he owns his own company, contracting fit outs and whatnot. And on LinkedIn, he posted that they were moving into the energy drink market, and he had like pictures all branded up of these energy drinks and stuff. But it was like a completely serious post.
Very good.
Yeah.
To do it on LinkedIn as well, that's pretty special.
I know, that's, yeah, to do it on LinkedIn, you're punking all your professional colleagues.
That's the way to do it, I think, nowadays.
That's the way to do it. That's how Punch and Judy said. Anyway,
You got nothing, Adam? You're the one who asked this question.
I thought we were going for ones that we've seen in television and stuff, which is why I said the Simpsons one.
You didn't even explain this. I don't even know what the Simpson one is.
Yeah, Bart gets Homer a beer, but he goes to like a tool shop, and they have like a thing that you shake up the paint with, and he puts the beer in the paint thing for like an hour. Like it's like a stupidly long period of time, and then he gives it to Homer, and Homer opens it, and when he opens it, he blows up the house.
yeah. And literally, as he opens it, Bart goes, April Fool.
Yeah. And then he gets like sent away, doesn't he, in the rest of the episode?
Yeah, I think he gets sent to military camp, maybe?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not the Simpsons podcast.
All right, so before we move on to getting towards what we're talking about today, which is Waking Fright from 1971, let's just say we've got a Patreon channel at www.patreon.com/filmbusters where we have exclusive content. We have a wonderful family over there. You get to come on the show, you get to suggest episodes we do on the main show, and also Patreon episodes as well. And what Patreon episode are we doing today, Adam?
We are going to talk about our favourite teacher protagonists in film.
And who suggested this?
Our teacher, Jamie Russell.
Our wonderful teacher, Jamie Russell, who also suggested Waking Fright, and he is kicking off the 1971 round today.
Yes.
He is, 1971.
Baby. We haven't had any 70s rounds yet, have we?
No, I don't think we have. This is exciting. Into
Yeah.
a brand new decade.
Let's see what we get out of these films.
See what we get. I'm excited for 1971.
Oh, yeah.
We were in the
should
50s for a hell of a long time, weren't we?
I know, we were.
A hell of a long time.
It was a very long time. We might be in a long time for this one because we actually have an extra film at the end of this round because
That's
we've got another
right.
patron suggesting another 71 film.
So at least 5 films from 1971.
Yes, it is 5, isn't it? Yeah. I haven't seen more than it should have been, but yes, it is 5.
5 films from 1971. Do you want some facts about stuff that happened in 1971?
Oh, yes. Yes, please.
So here's the state of the world in 1971, boys and girls. The Walt Disney World theme park opened in Florida in 1971
Really?
and still going strong 52 years later. You been
How
to
old were
Disney?
you?
You been to Disney World?
I've been to
Yes.
Disney Paris. I haven't been to Disney World.
I went when I was a little boy.
Yeah. I went in 93 and in 96.
Oh,
Which one did you prefer?
very good.
They were both different for different reasons.
Do you remember the
Virginity.
93 one? You don't
I
really
do.
remember the 93 one, really? Do you?
I remember the
Do you?
93 one very well because when you're that age and you suddenly go and you see an ET and everything. I remember being on the ET ride, and at the end, before you go on the ET ride, as you're queuing up.
Hello, Ben.
Yes, exactly. They take your name, don't they? And then at the end, they get ET to read it out. So I remember that one distinctly. And then from 96, I remember the Jaws ride most of all because that was incredible.
Very good.
Incredible. Anyway, The evil education secretary Margaret Thatcher ended free school milk for children over the age of 7 in the UK.
Jesus, what a bitch.
What a bitch. The sentencing of Charles Manson and his followers for the Tate LaBianca murders took place.
Oh,
all
shit.
the court cases, all of that. Playing helter-skelter in the courtroom. It was the year that
Did
Charles
they?
Manson went into everyone's...
Is that the year the case started and finished, or does it go on
I don't know
a
if
couple
it
of
started and finished. I think it was a pretty quick case, but he was sentenced that year. So if it...
Oh, right, sentence.
Even though I think what he did was in the late 60s, or what they did was in the late 60s. The anti-Vietnam War protest took place in Washington, D.C., which was the largest ever protest to that point. I don't know if that's still the case. Opposing a US war. 500,000 people marching in Washington, D.C. and 150,000 people in San Fran. How'd you like that?
I like it very much.
British summertime. The British summertime experiment was dropped in the UK, and the experiment was to have British summertime all year round. So there was no Greenwich Mean Time. But they dropped that in 1971.
As in they
and now
don't
we
change,
have it as
they
we
don't
have-
take it back
Yeah.
or forward an hour, you mean?
Exactly. Just leave it on
Alright.
British summertime the whole time. They changed that in 71, so it's GMT and BST. We just changed our clocks last weekend.
We did, and
Very
it's
topical.
so much better now. It's a little bit of sunshine in the air. It's all beautiful.
Look at that. Some big bands were formed in 1971. Eagles, Queen, Roxy Music. I went in a diminishing returns type thing there because no one really thinks about Roxy Music, but they were good. And as suggested by Adam last time round, here are a few of the Oscar winners from that year. So April 15, 1971. One film pretty much swept the board that year. You guys got any idea what it is?
I remember looking at it last time, and now I've forgotten it.
So it would be from 1970.
Yeah,
Basically.
probably.
It's one of those big Hollywood films.
Well, if I told you the best actor went to George C. Scott,
1970.
yeah, and then best picture and best director were also for this film that George C. Scott won his Oscar for.
I'm trying to think I can't even think what he's been in. Other than...
It's probably his biggest.
Wasn't Exorcist 3.
Certainly wasn't. It should have been.
Not a Christmas Carol.
It's probably his biggest film. I don't know if you've even seen it, to be honest.
Oh, I probably don't know.
Anyway, the answer's Patton.
No, I wouldn't have said that. But I do, yeah, I can see his face on the...
I don't know any of
cover
it now.
yeah.
So he won that best actor for Patton, best picture Patton, best director Franklin Schaffner for Patton. Best actress went to someone called Glenda Jackson for Women in Love. I haven't seen it. I don't know what that
I
is.
thought I saw a pattern forming, but...
Oh yeah, that's very good. That's very good. That's a good gag. And that's 1971.
Amazing. We got a lot to talk about, I'm sure, in these 5
Yeah.
films coming up.
I'm sure we do.
See if we find any trends. But before we kick off with Waking Fright, Adam, should we move on to the staple of every episode?
Yes. Do you want it now, or do you want it in a bit?
No, we want it
We
now.
want it now.
Okay. Are
Why
you
would we
ready?
have it in a bit?
Why not? You might want a little break. You ready?
I want the scores, mate.
Yeah, scores
Oh
and
yeah.
rules.
What's the scores? The scores are 7 to Paul, 7 to me, and 4 to Ben. And the way it works is if they get the question right, they get the point. If they get the question wrong, I get the point.
Very well
Are
explained.
you ready?
Yes.
I've actually got 3 questions for you this week.
Oh, shit.
3.
Making movements with these.
Can you name the 2 beer companies featured in the film?
West End.
Oh, that's the one I would have said.
Yeah, that's why I said the second one, because the first one's too easy.
Fuck, I don't know about the other one. Fuck. Where do we see this other brand? Because certainly
big
all the cans
bottles.
they're drinking. Oh,
All the
big
cans
bottles.
are West End, and the bigger bottles are another one.
I ain't gonna get that.
East End beer.
No. It's Courage Bitter.
Oh.
They were both English beer companies who were trying to get into
God.
the Australian beer market, and they used this film as like an advert, and it didn't work out apparently.
No, I'm sure it didn't. It's not exactly the
No.
best promotional material to have, is it?
This is your promotional. Fuck, man.
And on the back of that one, if you can tell me to the nearest 5 how many times someone drinks alcohol in the film.
How many times is this a fact you found on IMDb?
Yeah.
Do you mean how many times we see someone?
Yeah, drink, like take a drink, or
How close we got to get?
within 5.
Oh, fucking hell, that's very strict.
Yeah.
So how many times we see someone take a swig of alcohol?
I'm just going to say 35.
Oh, I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go 105.
Get a point, Ben. It's 107.
Whoa, I was so close.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
Jesus.
You got so close.
Yep, well done.
That is mental.
And finally, what
Hang on,
time
do I get a point for that first question or not? Even though
you
I
don't
got
get a point
half
for
of
the
it
first
right.
one. You needed both of them. The first point was too. The first side of it was too easy in my
So
That
opinion.
was pretty easy, that
so
one.
strict.
And the final question is, what time of year is the film set?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas.
Well done, Ben.
Well, I said Christmas Eve.
No, it's Christmas. It's spread across, isn't it?
Well, it didn't start on Christmas Eve.
Ah, but I didn't say Christmas Day.
Oh,
I said
okay.
Christmas.
Okay.
Because he
I
said
said
what
time of
period.
year.
Yes.
I was just looking at all the very shit Christmas decorations in the back of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas in
They don't really
Australia ain't the
acknowledge
one.
it, do they? But like, it's just always there.
That's true. Do I get 2 points?
Yep.
2 points.
Oh, that's exciting. I scored points for the first time in ages.
You're 1 point away from us.
Oh, look at that. 776, is it?
Movements. Oh, actually, no, because Adam got that point, so it's actually 8. He's in the lead.
Yeah.
876.
876.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Clever boy, Adam.
Clever boy. Make sure he's winning this year.
I know.
First
You
time
guys are
ever.
just shit.
He can make it happen. Right. Should we move on to Wake and Fright?
Oh, it's time to
Yeah.
wake up.
And fright
It's wake.
everybody.
In
Give them a
Fright.
fright of their lives.
New to the Yabba?
New to the Yabba.
Like the old place?
No, I think it's bloody awful.
You don't like the Yabba?
No.
Will you have a drink?
No, I'm toying with this one, thanks.
Well, drink it down or buy another.
Look, I'm flat broke and I can't afford to drink.
What's that going to do with it, man? I said I'd buy you a drink. You don't have to buy me one. Now drink it down.
Right, everyone. Today we're talking about Wake and Fright from 1971. This film is directed by Ted Kotcheff. It is a spoiler episode. If you've not seen it, we'll spoil it terribly for you. So you might want to come and watch it. You can come here and watch it with us if you want, and then listen to the episode afterwards. No one in this film we've done in things we've done before, but we have.
Surely, what's his name?
What? Who? No.
Wasn't it?
No.
Or was he not in that one?
No, he was dead.
I thought they used his.
Yeah, but it wasn't him.
Okay.
Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah.
Go on.
I thought it
Elaborate.
was like a green screen thing.
You thought it was a green screen thing. We spent so long talking about how good the prosthetics were and everything.
4. Everyone's like, who are they talking about?
For Dr. Loomis.
Mr.
Yes,
Pleasance.
it was Mr. Pleasance, Mr. Loomis.
Do you reckon he was a pleasant man? I don't think he was a pleasant man.
Not in
you
this
know.
film.
No.
Yeah, so no one.
Yeah, Spit and Polish. We just very, very recently covered Jack Thompson film with them
Yes.
by
That's
doing
the one I was
Breaker
gonna say.
Morant, which is nuts.
Yes, so it's very recent,
Yeah.
and that's the only people that's ever been in contact with Filmbusters.
I've now watched 3 of those Jack Thompson films in the last month, completely by coincidence.
He must
'Cause I
be getting
watched-
high on your list.
Yeah, I
of
think
most
he
watched this year.
is. He is, yeah.
So Adam, do you want to give us a plot summary of this film?
This film is about a man in Australia who gets pissed with a load of other Australians. And he gets weird.
I thought you were going to do that in all Australian, and then it kind of just
Yeah.
washed out.
It washed out.
I didn't do
it?
any of it
Petered
in
out.
Australian.
It sounded like you were going to stop doing it.
I just took a breath in and didn't breathe really while in my sentence.
It was more the Australia.
Yeah.
Australia. I don't do accents because I'm terrible at accents.
Right, thank you, Adam. Ben, you got anything about this film?
Here's some key information for you boys regarding Wake and Fright, which I only watched yesterday morning. It was described by musician Nick Cave as the best and most terrifying film about Australia in existence. Originally came out in the UK as Outback, circulated for a very short time in the 70s and then completely disappeared before reappearing in the 21st century as a cult classic. I actually think that they lost the film for a couple of decades and then they found the editor found the negative in his storage unit and sort of put it together again so it had a new life in the 21st century. It originally began life as a 1961 novel by Kenneth Cook, which British actor Dirk Bogarde optioned with a view to making into a movie, but that fell through. But the screenplay that was written for that movie was converted into this one, and Gary Bond took on the lead role as the school teacher descending into madness. It features Donald Pleasance before he ever graced our screens as Dr. Loomis, as this alcoholic nihilist, and the film earned significant notoriety for its extended kangaroo hunt set piece with reenactments matched with documentary footage to very distressing effect. And I think we probably spend a chunk of the episode talking about exactly that, so I won't go into that anymore. And that is Wake in Fright.
Wake in Fright.
You can absolutely tell the Hays Code wasn't here. He's
Yeah,
British.
the Hays Code. Why? I wonder why. So that you said that was Donald Pleasance's like one of his earliest roles.
I don't know if it's one of his earliest, I just mean it was before Halloween.
Right.
I think he was probably doing quite well for himself beforehand. I don't know.
Yeah, he seems like a stage man.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of theatre work.
100%.
I just thought it was random that if you saying that and then he just ran me an Australian film.
And you know,
Before
they
he's actually
say,
in.
people say that he was like a lot of plaudits for his Australian accent, and I didn't really think it was.
Accent.
It just sounded British to me. He just sounded like how he always sounds.
No, he definitely did. I was like, is this guy Australian?
Well, I didn't
Yeah.
particularly think it sounded that Australian. He just sounded casual British to me.
Well, it's that fucking blend, isn't it?
They
It's,
are very close.
I'm fascinated by accents, really, and how you can tell where people originate from, and it's just a blend of accents moulding together. Like when I listen to some films, I felt it a lot in Sons of Anarchy when I was watching that. It's like this blend of Irish Americans, and it just sounds like Irish half the time. Because it's like that's where the accents come from. It's a blend, and I find it quite fascinating.
Well, there
That's
you go.
So, right, this is Jamie's pick. So, Adam, you get to decide what order you want our first impressions in.
You should just do Film Busters.
We can do Film Busters if you
Let's
want.
do classic film busters.
Yeah, it's a patron pick. We just do our keep it simple.
You sure you want me first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is he saying you sure? What's he setting us up for here?
Fuck this film. Honestly, I've never felt this disturbed or physically sick watching a film on this podcast, other than Cats. Like, I've never felt so disturbed. I don't care what the director's intentions were, or if it was like footage from a real kangaroo hunt, and it would have happened regardless bullshit. From my brief fact checking anyway, it's like I wonder if I would have put so much fucking song and dance into shooting them if they were like such professionals. I know the director was talking about it was almost as disturbing as like what they were shooting the guys doing in the film, and also asking about, well, how do you want me to shoot them in the brain? They'll do this. If they shoot them in the heart, they'll do this. If you shoot them in the liver, they'll do this. It's like, oh man, you fucking scumbags. But and the fact that they fucking put a massive aeroplane floodlight on the tracking vehicles that they wouldn't normally have, so it's easy to film it, but it's also easy to stun the kangaroos when they find them, right? And regardless, I came here for fiction, right? Shooting kangaroos for real is not fucking fiction, and adding a card at the end saying it's a message against kangaroo hunting, fucking bullshit, mate. You have put these horrific scenes in the mix of a piece of entertainment, regardless of how morbid everything else is surrounding it, and that's like the point of the film. I can watch a fucking Serbian film, regardless of how horrendous that is, because it's all part of a fictitious plot, right, that warrants those grisly moments. but you're still putting fucking kangaroos getting shot in a piece of entertainment. Get it the fuck away from me. I don't want to see it. And if I wasn't doing this episode, I would have turned the film off. I would have turned it off. I would not have watched it. I would not have carried on. No joke, it affected me for the rest of the day and made me feel ill. And I was incredibly unhappy after watching it. The film surrounded it before these moments. I enjoyed all the gambling stuff and meeting the police officer, like, down his drinks. He's a bit of a wild man. But everyone was pretty grim, and I know it's kind of the point. Every single person was grim. I know what they're going for, and they succeeded, but I didn't appreciate it in the slightest. And that was my review.
Okay.
Well, look at that, man. There's a lot of conviction in those words.
Yeah, so I mean, no, I think we need to go ahead and just say no one. That whole scene is just kind of. We have to treat the film in two different. I don't know. I feel like I know you're obviously going to give your score as an overall piece, but you can't let that completely sway your whole thing when we're talking about this film.
Yes, I
no, we need to talk about
the
film in two parts.
It's a film. It's a whole product,
I know,
mate.
But well, apart from that point, I actually kind of enjoyed some parts of the film. It had this weird tone about it, and it was quite. What do I say? I don't even know what I want to say about this film anymore. You kind of thrown me off a bit, Paul. Like, you've kind of come out of the gates and startled what I was going to say.
That's why I was wondering if you wanted me to go first.
Yeah. Apart from that part, I actually really enjoyed this film. I don't want to say I get why it's in there, but it doesn't feel out of place in this film. I want it to be there, but it doesn't feel like you're suddenly just watching. They've just whacked this in there for the fun of it. It feels like the tone of what they were doing goes with this. It's ridiculous. It's just enhancing how stupid and how irrational and how uncaring that these people really are. And it just helps you. Well, I mean, there's many other ways of doing it. I'm not saying this is the only way, but it doesn't feel out of keeping. But I mean, I don't know what to say, to be honest, mate.
You say, mate, like an Australian.
Yeah. You want a beer, mate?
Yeah, just beer. That's what I'm going to say. Beer.
Well, so I'll let everyone know. I was out on Friday night and got a text through from Paul saying, you probably don't want to watch this with Jenny, my wife, which was intriguing because normally when we cover a film on the podcast, we don't really share any sort of thoughts or feelings ahead of time, do we?
No.
So he'd obviously sent that having just seen this stuff. And I was like, okay, just give me context. Don't spoil it, but just give me context as to what we're talking about. And I was like, it's animal related, isn't it? And he said yes, and went on to explain very briefly the length, more about this happens, and it goes on for 15 minutes, and it appears to be real. So he gave me that heads up. So I watched it solo, which was the correct call, because it absolutely would have been horrible for me to watch with Jenny. And I said to Paul afterwards, this is the only, again, we don't talk about films before this normally, but I messaged and said, I don't know if it was better or worse knowing that this kangaroo massacre was coming up, because I didn't know when it came in the movie. That's the thing. And it comes pretty close to the end, like in the final third. So from the off, I was kind of braced for something disturbing. And the longer the film went on, the more I knew this horrible thing was coming. And I think it heightens the entire experience of the film to me, because without that, and without the knowledge of that coming, it's already a dark, fucking bleak descent into like the heart of man. And it feels desperate. It feels suffocating. But knowing that something like this was coming made it even more so, and it provoked a really fucking strong reaction out of me even before we got to that scene. And when that scene happened, I was braced for it, but nothing could have prepared me for how it was. It is absolutely appalling. It's horrible, and we'll talk about this in the main. But I was so with the film up to that point. really, really with it. And then that scene happened, and it wasn't as extreme as you, Paul. Like, I want to turn this off, but I was like, this has ruined the film for me. Now, this brings the film significantly down. But then I thought I've got to see it all as a whole, and I did a little bit of research afterwards, and we'll talk about the kangaroo stuff in the episode. But ultimately, this film has to be the way that it is now in order for it to give the message that it wants to give off, tell the story it wants to tell. That kangaroo scene needs to be in it, in my memory, because without it, it lacks that final fucking punch. Because when that happens, everything that you've seen suddenly really hits home and becomes really grounded, because it's like, yes, you are watching fiction, but fiction is telling us about our lives, telling us about who we are as the human race and the human experience and shit like that. So when you see something as brutal as that, which is real, merged with it, it like almost elevates it to another level, where it's like, we're telling you how depraved and dark the heart of man is. You're also seeing it for real in here, whether you want to or not. You're seeing it because this is happening. And can you reconcile the fact that you're seeing a fictitious story which is about fucking not even toxic masculinity, just how evil and desperate and terrible men can be given the circumstances and environment they're in? Can you reconcile that with actually seeing it play out for real? And I don't know, it took a little bit of processing, that. Like, I wasn't feeling it at the time. It took a bit of processing. I loved that the film was telling the story of this man, this sort of civilized man who feels above the people he's around when he goes out of town into a more small town mentality. And I loved that we were showing him being broken down and broken over time, and based on who he's surrounded by, changing the way that he views things. But when that scene came on, I don't know how to explain it. It like transitioned over more from just being a movie into more of a social fucking commentary as well on this is the state of the world. It blended documentary into fiction, which is incredible filmmaking, for one thing. Of course I hated it. Of course I hated to see it. But I almost feel like maybe we should talk about the film up to that point, and then we'll address the kangaroo stuff.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best way.
I think you were saying what I was trying to say, but
let's take it all the way up to before they go on that kangaroo hunt, and how we were enjoying it. In fact, here's a question for you boys. Did you have one score in mind that changed when the kangaroo stuff came?
Yeah, I think my score went down after that. I mean, I'm not saying I enjoyed watching. Like you said, I get why it kind of doesn't need to be there, but I get why it's there, and it doesn't feel out of tone with the film. But it isn't pleasant to watch, and it isn't needed.
But I think that's the thing is, it is all building to something, right? It needs a gut punch, right? And it's took the gut punch too far for me. And without a big gut punch, the film doesn't make sense, because it needs that spiraling to something massive happening to make the whole film make sense.
Yeah.
If it didn't have anything like that, it's a little bit of spiraling and meandering, and it's like we're just seeing these horrible people, and it's like if it was just us seeing the horrible people with no massive payoff, it's like, well, what's this?
All right, so let's talk about this. Yeah, in terms of I'm just going to tell you my point of view on it, and then we'll see what you think.
Yeah.
When he goes to the town, it's kind of framed a little bit like, oh, here's this man, he's a teacher, he wears a suit, he's educated. He goes to this small town, and all these people do is drink and fucking do debauched things. But generally, they're not presented as evil. It's just that they haven't got much. There's nothing going on in the town of Yaba. But everyone is kind of friendly to one another. Yeah. But friendly in a weird way. In a way that's actually very fucking relatable. So I've got I go to see my relatives in Coventry fairly regularly, and this is not an insult to the town of Coventry and anyone who may live there, or in any of the small towns and cities in the UK, but when I leave London and go to Coventry, it feels a little like his experience when he goes to Yabba, where it's all about, go on, have a drink, mate. Let's just have a drink. Have a drink. Go on. Why don't you want a drink? Let's just have a drink. We're all together. Let's have a drink. It's like, that's how you connect to other people there. And it's because of environment. It's because of opportunities, because of what everyone else is doing around you. You've got no control, because that is what you have to do if you want to connect with people. You go, you drink. And if you don't want to drink, it's a slight. Like when he's like, no, I don't want to drink. The guy's like, what's that got to do with it? Just let me buy you a bloody drink. It's like, that is how these people connect. But it transitions out of that as the story goes on to, because there is no hope really, and because there's such a lack of opportunity, because this is a town like where man goes to die almost. People who have options in life and possibilities, like him as a teacher, like Donald Pleasance as a doctor, go there and later waste because of the people they're surrounded with. It just corrupts them, and because
it's
other
like
people are
Banshees,
drinking.
just on a different scale. With like, it's a simple town with a simple life. Everything convenes around the pub and people hanging out, and if you're either in them or you're out, like that's the only way you hang around in this town.
I'd say all the way up to before he goes back to Tim Hines's house.
Yeah.
Up to then, it's like everyone's quite welcoming. I don't think anyone tries to make him feel uncomfortable. It might feel odd because everyone is so like, it almost feels like, okay, something's happening here that everyone's being too welcoming.
Yes.
And they're trying to make a fool of him or something, but they're not. It's like they're just literally just buying him drinks and like getting him involved, and then he decides to go down the rabbit hole.
I see. Here's what's interesting about it. I completely aside from this had seen that Luke, one of our patrons and fellow listeners, Luke, had watched it, and I don't know if you have seen his review, but essentially he says it's kind of like a man who thinks he's above these other people is sort of learns that he's not, and he shouldn't be such a snob. Like their friendliness is taken for strangeness, and I think I might be misinterpreting it, but I think Luke is essentially saying these are good people in the town, and the teacher who goes in there is just being elitist. He's just middle class, but he thinks he's above them. Like, I don't want to drink. I'd rather read my books or this, that, and the other, and he's just dismissing them. But actually, it's a bit of that. It is a bit of that, but it's also not, because it also is a bit of these people. They may have had the potential to be good people, but because of this town they're in, because of the lack of opportunity and the lack of options and the lack of things to do, they've got nothing but to drink, be debauched, lie around, live off grid, completely out in the outback, totally disconnected from the world. It's what happens when you're just cut adrift. It's like they are friendly, they are good people, but also they've been turned into something, and that's the key with Gary. Gary, what's his name? The teacher.
What's his name? John Grant.
Yeah, he comes and he's an all right guy, and then you see him later in that kangaroo hunt, and he is right in the mix of it. And it's not that that's the thing. He's not a bad person, but he has now been in and around these people for so long that he's descended into this primal state. Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth in the entire film that shows what everyone has the capacity to be like if their situations change, their environment and the people around them. Yeah,
it's very much that, isn't it? It's the turn is as soon as he gets into Bundunyaba.
Yes,
he's instantly turned his nose up at everything, and just going to see them gambling. It's like, look at this primitive version of gambling. Like they're just throwing coins, and it's like there's also this kind of craziness surrounding the money when they're exchanging hands, and it's like, what is going on here? How does everyone know whose money's who? But it's like everyone knows whose money's who, and knows whose money's owed who, and stuff like that. And it's like there's a kind of like community like agreement surrounding them all. It's like you can't turn your nose up at something like that. There's more coldness in a fucking casino in Vegas than there is here,
man.
kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. And that is the thing, because they were nobody was going to steal from anyone there. It wasn't even suggested. It's like people know whose money's whose.
Yeah, yeah. And that is more a warming thing than any kind of gambling anywhere else. And it's just I kind of feel like that is kind of what led him astray. That kind of community warming, like, oh wow, this is actually a more thrilling thing than I thought it was going to be. But then he kind of leads himself down the rabbit hole with. Everyone has a darker side. You can have this front of being very friendly and everything, but there's a dark side to everyone.
Yes. I thought that the whole gambling thing was amazing because it's they essentially just created that game for the film, and they made it riveting. 2 coins on a bit of wood.
Yeah, sure.
The way that they did
It's
that,
like a really good version of Heads and Tails.
yeah. And then when he flicked them, and the guy was like, "No, you got to do it above your head, mate." It's like, God, who's made these rules up, man?
We're trying to figure out the rules as we go along as well. Just trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Is it made up?
What
for
are
the
they
film,
betting
then?
on?
Completely.
Yeah, totally made up. Well, if it is real, I feel like it's made up for the film. I might be wrong. I don't know.
These coins are on a little piece of wood that you throw in the air.
Yeah.
With the crosses on.
But it shows the desperation of that town. It is like, if you think about places where the opportunity is just not there. I know that this is particularly Australia, and Australia at the time, I guess, but it's still it's fucking relevant even for now. These small towns where there isn't a lot of money, not even small towns where there isn't a lot of money, but just people who are desperate, who are in the pub, or people who don't have much going on. It's about, well, I need money. Give me money. And, loads of people fall into gambling addiction because they haven't got the opportunities in life. And that's essentially what was happening in that room. Everyone was just gambling away. And he, a civilized man who, yes, he's got to serve out his little contract in a school, which he's not happy about, suddenly sees his opportunity to escape. He gets shitloads of money, and then he fucking throws it all away. Didn't he have 500 quid? He got 500 quid.
Yeah, a lot of money. He was running around, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he went double or nothing because he saw his way out, and that happens the world over. I'm sure people think they're going for their out. They think they've got their answer, and they try and do a little quick gamble or something like that. Yeah,
I think it's a bit of a metaphor for the film. It's like you've taken this one step in this direction, but then you take a step too far.
Mm-hmm. And also how close we all are to being in that situation. Because we're so close to getting out, having lots of money, being free. But equally, one misstep could leave you trapped in that one place forever.
This reminds me a lot of Banshee Pool, like that kind of, you don't want to be there, but you get stuck there.
Yeah, small town. Yeah.
You're not really stuck, but at the same time, you're
in a vicious circle.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Banshee, so I couldn't comment.
I mean, it's not as heavy as this film, so don't worry.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's just,
nowhere. It's more of an action.
It's a bit more like if he goes there and he kind of actually gets on with it, and.
But fuck me. I've got to say that scene in the bar when he meets the sheriff type guy, and they keep necking drinks in all different places.
He is so good at necking those beers, mate.
Oh, he's incredible.
The police officer.
He bangs them down. And also, I couldn't work out if they were pint glasses or if they were mini pint glasses because they looked small at times.
I think they're schooners, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
Schooners are 2/3 of a pint, isn't it?
Well, then they were blitzing through them.
Apparently, it stops them going warm in the hot Australian sun.
I'm sure that the science would say the dehydration is worse. I think there's a thing of if you're in the desert and you have... the only thing you have to drink is beer. Should you drink the beer? And they say yes, absolutely, because even though it dehydrates you, your body needs some liquid in it, so drink it, even though it'll give you a headache and all sorts. But yeah, didn't you get that impression there that it all feel like a fucking headache because it was so hot and oppressive, but in a way that you don't normally see, because it wasn't like they were dripping with sweat. It just felt everything was yellow. It felt like
crammed into a little space.
Like a scorched town crammed in there. And then that scene where the announcer comes over and it's like, pay your respects lest we forget, and everyone stands up. That's a real thing I've discovered. They actually do that in parts of America still, Australia. But again, that is also a small town UK mentality that happens over in the UK. Like, not doing broad strokes here, but think of the things that you associate with small town, and it is normally people going to the pub, being respectful of those who fought in the war, almost conservative values. It's like a working class type thing.
Dark side to everyone.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I really enjoyed the policeman's character. What's his name? I can't remember what his name is now.
Jock Crawford.
Jock, yeah, he kept calling him Jock, didn't he? Yeah. He was probably my favourite character in the film.
Yeah, he was.
I just enjoyed his whole persona and aura, and he was just this friendly kind of guy. I mean, I'm sure he has a dark side. He's a police officer in there, and everyone has this kind of wariness about him, stepping out his way. And I'm sure it's just this idea of him wanting to be on the, like, have everyone in his pocket kind of thing.
It was. You're right that you expect all these friendly people to turn bad. Like, you're expecting there to be a sinister side to him.
Yeah,
and there
absolutely.
probably is, but it's subtle.
Well, I can imagine he's corrupt by what happens at the end. I mean, I'm sure we're trying to help him by saying, just say it's an accident.
I thought
it's
that
kind
as
of
well.
in his own, it's in his interest.
Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah. Like the corrupt, if it's corruption, the lie that he tells at the end by getting him to sign that, it's like that doesn't benefit the police, really, does it?
No, it benefits.
It protects him,
John, though, doesn't it? Yeah. But just he was massive with his massive hands down in these small little pint glasses.
Yeah. Drink that, and then he's like, "Come on, let's get steak." And then he orders that fucking massive steak as well, and he's just snobbing it down his throat. It is all like Primal Man. It's like this guy who's having a crisis in his life,
stuck in time, isn't it?
It's stuck in time, but it's like it is a case of.
In some ways, it's the best ways that it's stuck in time, and then obviously it's shown that it's also the worst ways of ways it's stuck in time. There's something so sweet about them all being friends and just chill and like everyone's hanging out, but then also at the same time.
But see, they're not quite chill.
It leads to the worst. Well, they're not chill, but like they are until they aren't.
It shows where it can lead for sure. Like, yes, if you were going to the pub now and then and having that night, good, but you know that everyone who's in that bar is going there every night.
Every single night.
And that's their night. And, you know, we see it in glimpses when we're introduced to Tim, and he meets him in the pub, and then they go back to his house and his daughter's there, and his daughter's just sick of it. She's like, this happens all the time. He's always bringing back strays to the house. And it's like, it's addiction. We are seeing things that, if in moderation happened, would be fine, but nothing happens in moderation in this town.
Yeah, I think there's a thing of everyone is in this real community. It might be a toxic community, but if someone lost all their money, they would immediately be facilitating them as a friend, taking them, letting them stay in their house, feeding them, letting them drink their beer. But it's just a vicious circle that would just keep going round and round because everyone's kind of facilitating the next person.
Yes. And but this is what is so fascinating about the film in terms of like, are these bad guys or not? Again, ignoring the big thing that then happens, because even when they're arguing, even when it feels like something terrible is going to happen, they're offering beer, and it's a very traditional, masculinity. Traditional masculinity does that. It's like, when there's awkward conversations to be had, or if there's any sort of sensitivity that needs to happen in a situation or emotion, it's like, I'll have a beer, because that's my way of saying, oh, it's okay, here, have this beer. It's how men traditionally connected with one another, because they couldn't do feelings.
Yeah, for sure. It is interesting in that sense. It is. I mean, I was enjoying all this stuff. I was getting stuff out of it. It was this case of, where is this heading? I need there to be a point in all this.
Well,
Because otherwise it's just...
I didn't
meandering.
find that it wasn't heading towards something though, because regardless of the big denouement moment, it felt like it was a nice feel. Like it was a feeling. It was going to be one of those films where it was a feeling.
Yeah, it's a mood, isn't it?
Yeah. What did you think of the Jeanette character, his daughter?
This is where it started getting seedy. As soon as we got into that house and the friends, as soon as you saw the daughter, really, just how like downbeaten and upset she was. It's like, what is going on? There's something dodgy going on with this. And then as the friends arrived and they're like sidling up next to her saying, "How you doing?" It's like, oh, it's just like she's the fucking town horse. She's being treated like, and the father just lets this happen. It's just gross.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, the two friends being that way was totally gross. In fact, I would say these two friends who come, one of which is Jack Thompson as Dick and the other one Joe, these
Dick
are the two
Joe.
worst characters.
Yeah.
Because it's when they arrive that it really goes bad.
So these are the ones that they have the fight on the veranda
it's
of the
them
bar.
too. Yeah.
Sorry, I just watched it last week, so it's been a while.
But it's almost like the Donald Pleasant's Doc character. He almost is this like evil presence they've depicted him as, because as soon as he arrives, the debauchery really starts happening. It's like he is, even though he's this kind of professional person in the town as a doctor, he's almost like the downfall of everyone as well. He just it almost brings the evil side out of everyone as soon as he arrives in the house. That's when they start really going crazy with the drink, and like, I don't know, it felt like they tried to pose him as this like demonic figure.
I don't know. I feel like his biggest enemy in this thing is himself, because he had potential. He came as a straight-laced guy and he fell into the trappings of this town, and instead of trying to do anything to escape or whatnot, he let it consume him totally. He's like a fucking total nihilist. Like, his view is like, when he first meets John, the teacher, he's like, yeah, this town is hell, but it could be worse. He's like, we're here, this is hell. I acknowledge that I live in hell, but I'm just going to do what I need to do. I don't know that he's evil as much as I think, like...
I think the film's trying to portray him as that, though. Hence why like, John, he kind of puts everything on him as if it was his fault. That's why I was going to go kill him. Like, he was the origin of all this madness that ensued in the film.
Who, when John goes with the gun?
Yeah, to go find him, as if it started with him, and that's going to kind of end it all.
Well, I think
I think that's a naive way of looking. His one naive way of looking at it. If I remove this man, I remove my problems.
Yeah. But then it's like, no, I've got to kill myself because I'm actually the one who went down this rabbit hole.
Looking for someone else to blame for why you've spiraled. But this is what's fascinating. Like, different reads on it. Like, I don't personally think he's evil. They certainly make him out to be this mischievous character, and he does some pretty appalling stuff, but they all do to an extent. I just think he is John the teacher, but at least John leaves at the end. For Donald Pleasance, he never did. He went there. It's Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. And he literally didn't leave.
Hotel California is about death.
Yeah, I know, but this, in the purposes of this film...
Well, this is Death Town, anyway.
It's like purgatory.
Yeah. It is like purgatory, yeah.
They watched this film and then wrote the song about it. They were formed that year.
The Eagles were formed that year. There you go.
They were inspired.
Yeah. The reason I was asking about the daughter, though, is because, what do you think? Because later Donald Pleasance says, oh yeah, you know, me and her have a go on each other time to time, and she's like, if she was a man, it would be rape. And it's like, so it's not suggesting that she is abused by all the men in the town. It actually seems far from it. It seems like she is looking for connection through men. She embraces her sexuality, right? Loomis says there's no shame in it. She likes sex.
Yeah.
And
I
actually,
think it's her way
Does
of
she-
connecting with people in town. I don't know. Yeah.
Does she really though? Does she look like she's enjoying any of this?
well, no, but that's because she isn't drunk off her head like the others as
That
much.
sounds like such a man thing to say. Oh yeah, she loves it.
Yeah.
I think she's stuck in a cycle as much as everyone else is, and maybe it is that she's stuck here. She's in this prison. Maybe this is the only way she can find any sort of release, by just going through the paces and sleeping around because there's nothing else for her to do. But everyone is taking advantage of her in that town. I wouldn't say that she enjoys being taken advantage of.
No, but it's whether or not she is being taken advantage of.
I'd say she is. Don't you feel like when she's gone outside and then John's following her, it's almost like, well, okay, this is what he's come here for, so let me take him away and do it because that's what I do.
A little of that, but also the thing is, she was leading it all. He didn't make a move on her. She was making the moves on him. To the point that he was almost repulsed by it, and then he threw up.
But it's like do you really feel like when she's laying on that floor, she's like, come on, I'm really ready for this. Can't wait for this to happen.
I think in a sordid way, everyone in that town gets their enjoyment from things that they know are not good for them. Like everyone who's drinking knows it's not good for them, but they're knocking it back. They're doing it. They're all addicts. She's addicted to sex, but it's what's going to make her feel something in that moment, because she's so fucking numb by her home life with her dad and all his friends and whatnot. This gives her connection.
It's very true.
It's her one thing that she can control. Because ironically, even though the two friends come in and they're like groping her and whatnot, which is gross. Well, not even groping her. It feels like they're groping her, but they're not. It's just they're saying leery words.
Yeah.
There is no suggestion that she's being abused.
No. Her father's just letting it all happen. Like a little scumbag. Even though he seemed like another nice guy.
Yeah.
It's like this just shows like the dark side of everyone.
This is it. All these people who look friendly and decent on the surface and then have these dark hearts. It's what the whole film's about. It's just the dark heart of man, the descent of man, what is there and how close we are to it. And I think it's, that parallel to open the film up with John there in a classroom full of young kids, very vulnerable kids that he has control over, like a very trusted, respected position he is in, a good man, arguably, to then see what happens when he's pushed just a little bit in that town. That's how close.
He had all the right intentions to go home, to make something better of his life, to go see his wife, and he doesn't even go see her in the end. He just goes back to work.
Well, he ain't got the money to go off to Sydney anymore.
No, he needs to go make that money again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the inevitable kangaroo stuff then.
Well, I think there's something that starts it off before they're all getting very erratic in the house, and Doc or Donald is doing the handstands and drinking. And it's like it's getting a bit out of hand, all this heavy drinking, and then they turn up in the car with there's a dog in the front seat, and they throw the dog into the back. And I was like, okay, watch how you're handling this dog.
Yeah.
And then this fucking disgusting shit kicks off. So I was like, well, that was kind of a sign for what's to come. How they're treating that dog. And I don't think saying most of this is quote unquote documentary footage. There's still some stuff that they had to do as actors in that film.
The bit where they're fighting it.
They're fighting it. When John Grant's holding the tail, trying to stab it. And it's like, you're abusing these animals.
So, man, I don't... Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll agree with that, because they said when I was watching it, I was that totally.
Who run the kangaroo over?
They were the hunters.
Was that the hunters?
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yeah. So this is. So
No,
here's
man.
my.
I think it's very shady.
Here's my
kangaroos
understanding.
classed as pests in Australia now?
No, they're endangered.
I thought at the time they were classed as pests, but
No, it's just man's disgusting, repugnant desire to kill anything. I thought when I was watching it, I was completely appalled because I thought, I can't believe you've gone out and done this. There's no excusing this. But so my understanding is that it was a licensed hunt that was going to take place, and the director and one cameraman or something went out with them to document it to include in the film. So to say that nothing will be done specifically for our film, we're just going to capture what these people are going to do anyway.
Apart from facilitate a big airplane light.
Well, the light was for them to get the footage, but the hunters used light anyway to startle the kangaroo, like they said. And
It's
actually,
it's a brighter and bigger light than they normally use.
well, I mean, that's possible. Yeah, that's possible. But then I also read that the filmmakers sabotaged their own lighting rig, so it ended the hunt early because they just hated what they were seeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which you would. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like if something is going to happen anyway, if you are a documentary maker, you film it. You can't intervene.
But this is because he was also saying that they were all drinking. It was basically playing out as the film did, where
Yeah,
they were all
yeah.
highly intoxicated. They were intentionally like playing with the kangaroos and like pretty much torturing them with their rifles. And there was kangaroos with their entrails hanging out, and it's like, when does this get to a point where you're like, I don't want to show this in my film?
So here is the thing that's won me round to it the most. That the Australian Humane Society and the UK Humane Society for Animals said, leave all the gory footage in. Leave the goriest stuff that you can in.
they were going to cut it, weren't they?
Yes, they were going to cut it, but they said leave it in because people need to see how appalling this is. And 2 years after this film came out, they banned it in Australia. So you can credit the film and this film being so widely seen in Australia and people being appalled with it ending the eventual by banning the hunt.
I think it's a very hard line to walk because this is a piece of entertainment you're putting it all in.
I know, but entertainment.
I know
It's,
entertainment.
you know,
broadly
it
speaking.
hasn't got to be all sanitary. You know, like
no,
in terms
because
of
I would call
entertainment.
Serbian film entertainment.
Yeah,
It's a piece of entertainment. It's a story that you're watching. No matter how you feel, how it's supposed to make you feel, it's a piece of escapism, right? And to go in and then watch this and be like, "Fuck, man, why would I want to ever see that?"
yeah, it's
Put
horrible.
it in a documentary saying ban shit. I know what they're trying to. I know like what they're saying, and saying like this is a way we can get this shit banned, but it didn't sit right with me. Like, you're still making money off the back of this film.
Yeah, but the bad people who did the killing, they're not necessarily making money from it. Like the director, you know, it is hard. I know it is hard. It is fucking hard. It's a hard one to reconcile. I don't think it's just a simple case of, oh no, you can excuse it. And I don't think it's a simpler case of, oh no, this is repugnant, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's a grey area, and just, yeah, everyone's going to be different with it. I can only come to peace with it knowing that these humane societies were aware of what was going on and didn't say don't do that. They essentially were like, do it and show it. Because it is, do you know what it's like? It's like when you are in the cinema these days and before the film they throw on an advert for some traumatic thing, whether it's an animal thing or disease or whatever, abuse, all of these things, because you are there, you are a captured audience, we're going to show you something that isn't in line with you wanting to escape in a film for a couple of hours, but it's important you see this. And given the subject matter of the film, I guess it was considered like, if you're coming to see this film about the terrible things that men can do and the terrible ways that they behave and how primal they can be. Here, we're going to show you it for real in this setting.
I get it, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, it is that line of wanting it to be in the film in the first place. Right, they decided they wanted to have kangaroos getting shot in this film, and just the stage of being like, okay, so we're gonna have a kangaroo massacre. Now I want to go film a kangaroo massacre. Now I'm gonna put this kangaroo massacre in my film. It just doesn't sit right with me, and I can't help how it made me feel.
No, I know.
Like, it is a hard one. It totally suits the tone of the film. Without this, I don't think this film would be remembered if it didn't have this in it. Honestly.
Well, who knows? It would be remembered slightly differently, that's for sure. But I do know that I was enjoying the film a lot more before this happened.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it was like, I don't know that I enjoyed that film. No. It's tricky because I think the film is really great, but it has one of the most repugnant fucking scenes in cinema.
It is a hard one.
It's hard, but it's also
double-edged
hard.
Sword.
It is, as you say, it's the thing of a choice to say, okay, I want to include this in my film, even though I don't have to, but it's in the book. So if you want to adapt the book, you're presented with that decision, right? It's like, okay, we've got a kangaroo massacre scene that's in the book, which, by the way, I read something that said the way it's displayed in the film is nowhere near as terrible as it is in the book, which is crazy considering you're actually seeing it in the film.
Well, that's fine. It's written on a page. It's not.
Yeah.
That's the difference. It's like, if I'm putting two things together, a little boy getting raped is not as bad as kangaroos getting killed, like in Serbian film, right? But it's a piece of fiction.
Because it's not real.
Like, it's not
real. A real one.
It's not real. So if it's written in a book, it's not real. It's just it's fictitious kangaroos getting killed.
Yeah. But
it's a totally different experience.
Okay, so here's the thing. At the time that was legal in Australia, so those hunters were doing something legal, but something which is morally reprehensible. So that means you can film it. Is there something you can think of now which is legal that is morally reprehensible that you could film documentary-wise and show?
What, nowadays?
Yeah. Because what I'm saying is, if that was illegal... Say again?
People are still fucking hunting shit in this world that you could probably film.
Yeah, for sure. But what I mean is, if that was illegal at the time, then filming it, that's something else, because the police need to be involved. The police should be involved, or the authorities should be informed that this terrible thing is going to happen, so that it doesn't get a chance to happen. But that was going to happen, legally sanctioned. They had their license for it. Whether that's right or wrong, it was going to happen. So by filming it, it captures some terrible thing in the world.
It is me bringing my disgust of the people who did it into a film that, in a way, they still abuse kangaroos in the film, but they did not do the king of the kangaroos. But I still think in some ways they did facilitate the hunters with certain equipment or ways they wanted it shot for the film.
I read it as they already had a footage of a kangaroo hunt from beforehand.
No, they went along.
Okay.
They went along and filmed it. And the people were asking the director, how do they want them to shoot the kangaroos? Do they want them to shoot them in different parts of the body because they act in different ways?
But we don't know what the director said to that. The director may have said, I'm not getting involved. You just do what you would do anyway.
It's one of those. It's another thing we do not know. Maybe he said, make them struggle. We need it for the film.
Yeah, I mean, it was fucking horrendous stuff.
They were struggling in that film. It wasn't one shot they're down. It was one shot and they're flailing on the floor.
Yeah.
Or going off with their entrails hanging out.
I think whichever way you look at it, it's going to be how many different of opinions there is on so many things. Like Paul, you're a vegetarian. Adam, I think you're close to it. I'm not. We all love animals. We all love animals. I think all three of us love animals. But we also have a line on how much we love animals, because ultimately I eat them pretty regularly, so I accept that these things are dying for me. And I think you could look at it in the same way here, because it's a case of, we all think what happened is appalling, but where do you draw a line on what is tasteful or what is appropriate for inclusion in this? I would have much rather it didn't happen, obviously. It's very fucking it's an interesting...
I mean, if in a way you're correct, if it in some way facilitated them to ban kangaroo hunting, then some good did come of this film. But it is a very big grey area about how they got the footage.
Well, you know,
we don't know all the details. We do not know all the details.
By all accounts, none of the actors were there, which is the thing that baffles me, though, is
apart
if
from
that
John
is the
Grant, who
case.
was holding onto a kangaroo tail. And
but how did that happen then? Like, maybe
aren't kangaroos extremely dangerous to like fight
they are,
with?
yes.
Yeah, that's what makes me think they
there's
can't have
always
been
a bit
doing
like,
that.
Go out, it's like grabbing an alligator tail and somewhere not that bad, but like they've got those claws in them, don't they? They can just kill you instantly.
But that's what makes me think they couldn't have really been doing that. Would you really have put an actor, like, you know, the big guy who was essentially trying to box that kangaroo?
Yeah.
Would you really have put an actor up against him? I think.
Well, I don't think that would have happened. Well, there was a shot of them both in a scene together, wasn't there?
Yeah.
But I think half of it was just a point of view of the camera looking at a kangaroo and the camera looking at an actor.
Yeah, but even though
Make
you've
it
got a
look like
kangaroo,
they're
you
facing
can't put a cameraman there as much as you can put an actor there.
Might be behind a screen or something, I don't know. God knows what happened in the 70s, mate. It's all fucking...
No.
They're on a moped and he's just circling around on a moped.
All I will say is I saw little kangaroos back in 2006 and they were just the cutest. They ate stuff out of my hand.
Aw. What do they eat?
Little joeys or big kangaroos.
A big kangaroo with a baby in its satchel, if that's what you
Do they
call
eat
it.
like grubs and stuff like that? Or?
Well, they gave us, it was like a wafer cone type thing, and then in it was all these weird seeds and stuff.
It's like an ice cream.
They were real cutie.
That's pretty cutie.
And I prefer to remember them that way.
Yes, of course.
But hopefully, the film, and I think this is probably it, because apparently a lot of Australians didn't like the film when it got released, and hopefully it's because it did show this sordid underside that they weren't willing to
this
accept
is happening in your
existed.
country kind of thing.
Yeah. And hopefully it did create change in some way, even if not directly. Like, if you can't prove it, it would have entered the minds of a lot of people who otherwise had no idea, or who preferred not to think about it, who maybe then went out and were almost like activists because of it in different ways of working.
It is a very odd one, because if you're watching, like, if I go and watch Blackfish, okay, which is about the abuse of whales in like SeaWorld and stuff like that, I'm watching footage that has been recorded from ages ago, and I know what the film's trying to get at. I know it's trying to stop this stuff from happening, but I think the difference in this film is the fact that the director's gone out of his way with the people hunting the kangaroos.
Yeah, but the documentary is also...
It's such a weird fine line. I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. It's weird.
It's about its inclusion in the film, I think, is the issue, because if this was a Louis Theroux documentary and Louis went out and filmed all of that footage and it was included, you would...
Because you know what he's trying to push, the agenda he's trying to push. Because he's like, I've come here because I want to show this horrific stuff that's happening. Just like when he's going along visiting the fucking Christians against homosexuality people. Mm-hmm. It's like you're showing them and showing the world what kind of ignorant people there are in the world.
Yeah, agreed. I would argue that you feel the same way about this film, though, that the inclusion of that is going to show how appalling the acts are. Like, by including it and showing the men, the actors, the characters who are carrying it out, it is showing... It's certainly not endorsing it. It's saying, look at how broken and fucked up these guys are.
It's just...
And to think, why do they do it? Why do those hunters in the real world, those hunters who committed that appalling act, Okay, you've been following these characters in this film. You've seen how men can fall and slip. What's the mentality behind these guys? It's very easy to just say, oh, they're all just cunts and fuck. And yes, they are. They are. But what created them that? What made them that way? Was it being in this small town with no opportunity from a young age, where all the men in their lives were hunters and they were drinking from the age of 12 and 13, and it was always about being manly and rough and tumble? They never had a fucking chance then, did they, if they grew up that way?
There's just no care in the world. It's just everything's just a joke to you, and you're fucked around, and there's no consequences to any of your actions. And the policeman in the town doesn't give a shit, and watching you do it, you're never gonna really, is it?
But then again, if you think about it, everything that we saw in this film, these guys do, nobody did anything illegal.
No. It's just reprehensible in your own opinion.
Yeah. It's primal. It's base.
Yeah.
It is literally like civilization is gone from here. But presented under a veneer of, oh, these people they just want to have a good time together.
I was going to say, I think the difference is as well, when you speak of primal, you're thinking of doing stuff to survive, whereas this is where they go, they step beyond it, they're doing it for fun. There's no kind of, we're getting these because we're going to eat them all. They literally left them all chopped up in the desert.
Yeah. I know that was horrendous shit to see, that was.
Yeah.
But it's base urges, because it's no coincidence that after that, it goes to Dr. Loomis and John rough and tumbling it in the house, and then clearly having a homosexual encounter overnight. And it's like neither of them are homosexual, but they just gave into base primal urges in the moment. It's like, I want to feel something. I want something. Give me something. And that was the thing right then.
I know. I read about that, and I kind of, for some reason, I had some idea that was going to take place. I might have just maybe read some Twitter comments or something,
right,
from when Contrarians did it or something. But I didn't, like, if I didn't know that, I wouldn't have thought that happened. I don't feel like they inferred to it. When did that happen?
Because they're rough and tumbling, wrestling, and then Loomis is on top of him, and then slowly starts moving towards his face, and then it fades out, and then it fades in the morning, and John is in a state of undress. Loomis's leg is over his, and he quickly gets dressed and is rushing out.
Okay, I didn't really take it as that. If like, I kind of knew that it was supposed to infer that, but I didn't really, from watching it, I wasn't like, this is 100% a homosexual encounter. I just thought they were drunk and tumbling around just like fucking slobs.
No, they definitely fucked. And that's why I think he comes back with the gun for Loomis.
The kangaroos on the other side.
Oh man, poor taste. But that's why I think he comes back with the gun for Loomis, because it's like, oh, you've completely changed who I thought I was.
Yeah.
And I blame you for it. And then he's like, when he can't find him, he's like, no, this is me. I've done this to myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how close we all fucking are. Toxic masculinity doesn't even come close to explaining what's going on in this film, because it isn't just, oh, all these men are terrible. It's, they're doing terrible shit, but because of where they are and what life has been like around them, who's been around them, opportunity around them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pressures from your peers.
Yeah.
Just going along with whatever's happening.
And that's why I think at the end, after he's shot himself and he returns to the town, I think for him, he has a kind of, before, when he arrived at that town, he thought, oh, all these people are just drunken, no hopes, they've got no chance, let me just pass through. And at the end, he's like, we're all close to that. And actually, they are all fucking people.
It's just your circumstance.
It's circumstance. And he has an appreciation for them at the end, even though he's been through this terrible stuff with them and he's done terrible shit. What man hasn't?
Yeah, I get that.
I got to say, I have never listened to Contrarian's episode because I didn't want to listen to it until we'd seen it. So I am going to be fascinated to listen to their take on this.
Yeah. Were they as distraught about the kangaroos as we were?
Definitely.
Yeah. I think that one thing it made me question was the integrity of the actors in the film, knowing that they were part of that. But again, it's all about what they were able to reconcile themselves to. If they can say, I understand why this needs to be in there because it makes this point. It was quite the fucking experience, the whole film.
It certainly was. I did not expect. This has been on watch list for so long, and I never expected it to go down this kind of wavelength.
Yeah,
I for some reason thought it was something to do with, like, just from the poster that maybe it was, you know, that picture of what's his name, the
Jack Thompson shouting
Thompson,
on top of the car.
Yeah, I imagined it was him, like this guy being hunted down in the desert by some people or something.
Oh right, yeah.
I don't know why. That's what I thought it about. Never thought it'd be about this. And we were wondering, like, we did ponder the question, I wonder why Jamie gave us this film. And I feel like it does, like, bring up a really great conversation. So it was worth it, Jamie.
It does. I would like to know what Jamie makes of it as a whole as well, and how he feels about the scene, if he feels it's warranted. I mean, I do, like, contextually, when you look back at that film, all of it doesn't feel like, and then there's this really out of place kangaroo massacre for 15 minutes. It feels like this kangaroo
inevitable.
massacre is like where the film breaks the fourth wall and just goes, and here's a reminder, these men are out there in your world, in your country, in your communities.
Yeah, for sure.
Fascinating. Look, we're off to a theme here maybe for 1971 about masculinity again.
It always is.
Yeah.
It's all about bastards.
Maybe
There's too many films about masculinity, man.
Maybe it will all have kangaroos in.
Maybe.
Every film.
I don't even know what film I'm doing yet. Is it my next?
No, it's Paul's.
It's mine next. It's mine next.
Yeah, I just got scared for a moment then.
Are we moving on to our ratings?
Scores? Yeah.
Yes, let's.
Okay. So I was very sure on a score. So let's start with before the kangaroo.
Yes, before the kangaroo. Yeah, what was your
Before
score?
the kangaroo, I was like, okay, I'm enjoying it, but I don't know how much I'm enjoying it. I have to wait to see how it pays off. I was on a 7.
Right.
Then the kangaroo thing happened, and I was like, this is the worst shit ever. I want to turn this off, but I can't. I hate this so much. Why would they put this in the film?
Yeah.
And then having this conversation, it kind of opens my eyes to maybe this was important in some ways, but there's a very fine line. I can't really work out how comfortable I am with the director going along with the hunt and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I give it a little bit of leeway, but only a little leeway.
Right.
It gets a 2 out of 10.
Oh, fuck, man.
Wow.
So it undoes, by having that in there, it undoes all of the other good work in the film for you.
Yeah, I absolutely. I was saying to Jenny, I had a little conversation. Basically, she wanted to know what was happening,
Right.
and I was just like, I absolutely detest this film. I hate it. So I was obviously in the moment then as well. It was fresh, and I was like, this is unnecessary, disgusting. I actually felt sick. Do you know how we felt after watching Cats? I actually felt like that. Like if it had entered into my system.
You
And I
can
was
never
like,
delete
this
it.
makes me feel unwell. And yeah, that's how I felt. But there is something in this film, but it is a very hard one. It's a very hard one to get my head around whether it warrants it.
That's fair enough.
Okay, I think there's still a half decent film in the bottom of it, and maybe listening again to the discussion. I'm not going to be as harsh on it as Paul, but I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
So what were you before the kangaroo thing?
I would have probably given it an 8.
Okay. So 7 out of 10. So I was at a 9 before the kangaroo thing.
Oh, well, we were.
I was loving the themes, the ideas, just the whole feel of it. The kangaroo thing, it wasn't even a case of, I'm dropping my score. It was like, I don't even think I can put a score to this film anymore, because I can't, after having enjoyed it so much, to have something like that, how can you give it a score? I was like, I can't. But then from doing a little looking into the context of all of that stuff and everything, and the kangaroo aside, I didn't think it ended particularly strongly after everything that there had been before. I thought the actual end, the last 10-15 minutes, wasn't as strong as everything that had come before. I dropped it to an 8. So I'm still happy with it. Did you give it a 7, Adam?
Yeah, I'll give it a 7, yeah.
Okay.
I can understand. This is the thing. It is all down to what your line is. I can see people really enjoying this film because it gives you that extreme feeling. It's like we all want to feel something in a film, and it does that. It does what it says in the tin, as they say. It wants you to feel this horrific feeling of there's no hope in this town.
Mm-hmm.
And it does that. It delivers. So it doesn't surprise me that people give it high scores.
Yeah, it's also it is a good representation of descending into chaos.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, what do you give Apocalypse Now, Paul?
I know, I was thinking about this afterwards. I give Apocalypse Now a 9.
And they killed specifically for the film.
I know.
Specifically for the film.
I was thinking about this afterwards. I haven't watched it in a very long time, so I'd have to watch it again. Oh, it's something.
Just one animal against a massacre.
I ain't going to argue with it. If it pushes your buttons and you can't, and it doesn't sit right with you, that's it.
It's a different kind of film as well. I knew 100% I was loving that throughout, where this one I was unsure what I was getting.
Yeah. So
we'll see. I'll watch it again and I'll let you know.
It is tough because it includes something. We all want to distance it. It's kind of like, well, here's what it's like. And not to bring this up, but it's just what comes up for me. As an example, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, right? I can never endorse or enjoy that stuff or anything that she's in because I know what her views are in Israel-Palestine. I know that this is a thing, but that happens in the real world. That's who she is in the real world. When she's Wonder Woman, she's playing a character. Some people can ignore her views on Israel-Palestine, or they don't care about it anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. But it's about, if you care about Israel and Palestine, where's your line? Are you willing to enjoy a film with her in, knowing that she holds these terrible views? Or are you like, she holds these terrible views, I'm not going to watch something with her in? It's that kind of, it's where everyone would like for entertainment to just exist in its own stratosphere, but the real world has baggage that comes with it.
Yeah, especially fucking Hollywood.
Yes. And, other things like Woody Allen, do we cut out from the conversation how he behaves in his personal life and just assess his films? Well.
Do we what's the fuck? Christopher Plummer? Do we forget about Christopher Plummer?
We forget
and
about
all
Plummer,
the amazing
exactly.
film he's done.
But this is what it all comes down to, isn't it? It's like the real world was brought into this film, and it was shocking, and it was brutal, and it was horrible, and that kind of fits what the film was talking about. So I give it its flowers for that.
Yeah, I get that.
You're not going to give it its flowers?
Nope.
No, that's fine. So, listeners, rather unsurprisingly, Paul's 2 really skews the scoreboard there.
We got Jamie's as well, haven't we?
Oh, yes. Did Jamie give the score?
Yeah, Jamie gives it an 8. Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I think, Jamie, you just rescued it from being in our bottom 20. Or maybe you haven't. Yes, you have. Well done, Jamie.
Just.
I was looking at that then and I was like, this is such a shame this is going in the bottom 20. But also, because it doesn't feel like, even Paul, I think you would admit, it doesn't feel like this. Even though you've given it a 2, it doesn't feel like this should be listed in the worst films we've covered, because we've covered some absolute awful, appalling films. This was a really well-made film. It just included something that was very controversial.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a hard one.
That means we average out at 6.25, rounding up to a 6.3. We need to go head-to-head, first of all, with another Jamie pick, which is Diner. This was better than Diner.
I mean, you don't have to bring me into the conversation.
No, that's true. All right. This or Blind Fury, Adam. This was better than Blind Fury.
Yeah.
Are you saying yes?
Yes.
Okay. Age of Innocence.
This is better.
I think you gave Age of Innocence a 9, mate. Can't.
No, I didn't.
I swear you did.
No,
Yeah,
I'm looking
did.
at my score here. It's an 8.
Oh.
Yeah. Adam, what did you say? That this is better than Age of Innocence?
Yeah, I gave
yeah,
it
of course
you
you
did like a 5.
I
might have needed a kangaroo fucking massacre to spice it up.
fucking hell.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's better. It's better than Age of Innocence.
There we go. Top of the list. Top of the 6.25s.
Top of the 6.25, so it sits above Age of Innocence and below The Verdict, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, in a world where The Verdict was like pretty bland, it's like this definitely was spicier than that. But I cannot condone ever watching this film ever again.
It's fine. It's totally fine. But you know, when I think about this and The Meg, in what world can The Meg be a better film than this?
I know, but I'd rather watch The Meg than this.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I'd rather just not watch The Meg or the kangaroo scene ever again.
That's fine.
Like, here's the thing. I could, if I were to rewatch this film, and I almost feel like I might one day, the minute that kangaroo stuff happens, I would skip 15 minutes.
Yeah. You know, you don't need to watch it.
Well, it does, but it's broken up by them going to the pub for a brief stint.
And they just stopped to go to the pub for a bit.
Do you know what? That's what makes it worse. Is you feel like you've had a 5-minute burst of it, and then they go to the pub, and you're dealing with the fact that they've done that, and then they return at night for more. What an experience, man! Jamie has absolutely thrown the cat among the pigeons with the first pick for this year.
Absolutely.
Have you got anything to add from our Twitter followers? Did they have anything to say?
Yes. Well, we have a comment from Luke, who's also one of our patrons. He said, a visceral immersion into outback town culture where the civilized man is the aberration who perceives every kindness as a slight. Justifiably disturbing, drenched in his sweat and beer, this should make every educated traveller reevaluate their tourist behaviour. 10 out of bloody 10, he says.
Wow. That's something,
He's right.
Isn't it?
I mean, he's right.
When you're right, you're right.
Don't go hunting kangaroos.
It's an interesting point about the tourist travelling aspect of it all. I like how people behave when they're...
Yeah, you kind of throw
obviously we've
yourself
touched
into
on it, but we didn't touch on it, and it's like... Yeah.
Well, what do you think he means by that? Reevaluate?
We're saying if you're an educated person and you know better, why are you doing what these people are doing?
Is it that, or is it... Because the way that I kind of view what Luke is saying is that he's saying, if you think you're an educated person, you go to these places to look down at what they're doing, maybe you shouldn't be so judgmental. Not that I'm saying
he is saying that, yeah.
I think he's essentially saying
the
that. The
aberration who perceives every kindness as a slight.
Yeah. It's like, be more open to small town.
Civilised is quote unquote because he thinks he's more civilised than them.
Yeah. That's what's real interesting here. I would quite like to read the book that this was based on, actually. That might be a better way of experiencing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, sure.
I love I didn't even realise until after the fact that the sort of cover image that they use for it, at least on Amazon Prime for a long time, is the shot of Donald Pleasance with those coins over his eyes. I didn't even realise it was Donald Pleasance before watching this movie.
Yeah,
crosses.
I seen that shot. Yeah, I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to happen early on. It just looks like madness there, doesn't it? Pure madness.
Pure madness.
It kind of made me think of like some really religious person, like he's some kind of religious figure with the crosses on his eyes.
Well, typically you put the coins on the eyes of someone who's died, isn't it?
Yeah, true. Yeah. Dead Inside, maybe.
Yeah. Is that the only one?
Yeah, that's all we got.
Oh, very good. Thanks, Luke.
Very
and
good.
thank you,
Thank you,
Jamie,
Luke.
for this cat among the pigeons
Yes.
pick.
Yes. Thank you, Jamie. We talking about what film we're doing next before we talk about our patrons?
Yes.
Okay, well, when I found out that we were doing 90s Heavy One, I had a little browse, and I was like, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. It was something none of us have seen.
Okay.
And I looked at it yesterday, and I was like, oh, you cannot watch this anywhere. You can't even stream it. You can't buy it anywhere.
Oh.
And I was like, we can't do it. Do you want me to tell you what it was?
What was it?
The Devils.
Oh, I've always wanted to see it as well.
It's
can't
not
buy
on
it
anything.
anywhere?
You can't buy anywhere. It's just not on anything.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, so I was so sure we're going to do that. But then I thought, okay, well, let's just do this. This descend into madness again and do Clockwork Orange.
The Clockwork Orange, I ummed and ahed over whether or not I was going to pick it or not. I was going to see how the year was playing out.
Yeah. I was thinking, well, this kind of suits the theme of this last film.
It certainly does. Well, there you
Sorry,
go.
we've got to go into madness again.
I am more than happy to watch that.
Yes, I haven't seen it in so long, so I've always wanted to return to it. So this seems like a good reason than any.
I saw it in the cinema a couple of years ago, man. It was with Malcolm
Excellent.
McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell. Yeah, you saw Malcolm
There's
McDowell
a
do a
picture
Q&A,
house.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, you can tell us what he said on the podcast.
I can't remember what it was. About 6 or 7 years ago now.
Deleted from your brain.
You can buy the Devils, but it's 15 quid.
I know. Where can you buy it though? Like, as in
Amazon.
a physical copy?
Yeah,
I know, but it's long, isn't it?
it is.
Then
to
you
have
gotta
a
wait for it to
physical
come,
copy.
and
I know, yeah.
and then I've got to wait to watch it on something like on a screen.
Well, there we go. We go Clockwork Orange, and we do our first Stanley Kubrick, is it?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
It certainly is. It's a big boy.
I'm very much looking forward to going to that. Well,
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
excellent.
Wicked. Should we talk about our patrons?
Yes.
Yes.
So, every week, our patrons send us what they've been watching the past week, the best and the worst, and we tell you whether you should watch them or not, or whether we've seen them. If you want to become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbusters, and you can become a patron just like the likes of Mr. Luke Bennett, who is one of our newest patrons.
Yes, next we have Paul Mott, who has also signed up as a new patron.
Beautiful.
You also have Francis Cibarini.
Yes, you're very old school now, Francis. You also have Andy Bishop, my holiday friend.
You also have fellow Ben from Film Floggers.
You do. You have Mark and Steve from Movie Drone who are getting their money's worth.
You have Brent from Home Video Hustle.
You have Mr. Luke Human, who doesn't judge the towns he visits when he's a tourist.
You've got Sean Hannah Nicholson who released his album the other day.
Excellent, I need to get on that too.
We also have Mr. Nerd Revert.
We also have Mr. Julio Oliveira.
Yes, you also got the person who bought us this year, and that's Jamie Russell.
And then you have the Australians themselves. I hope they don't like killing kangaroos. It's Katie and Oti.
I wonder what Katie and Oti would make of this.
Oh, this would be a
our-
good one for them to watch, actually.
It would.
I reckon.
As our only
They'd
resident
hate every single
Aussies.
second of it.
I mean, yeah, I don't think they would give it much rope.
No, I don't think so.
It's a
This will
white-
end up
it's
on
a
a
white Ameri-
Patreon
It's
episode.
a white Australian film.
It's
Not
and that's the thing. That's another criticism which you could make of this film, is that ultimately it's about, let's take a look at white men again. Let's analyse their issues.
Yeah. They will hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't think you need to watch it, Katie and Oti. Don't worry.
No, I don't think so. One thing I forgot to mention that is wild about this film is it's directed by the guy who did Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh, is it?
Do you reckon this year we thought, fuck this afterwards, I can't do this shit anymore?
I need a light-hearted.
He also did Rambo First Blood, but I haven't seen that.
That's a weird career.
It is weird.
He was all over the place.
Yeah. Well, if you found out for Weekend at Bernie's, they actually killed a guy for it then, and then we're just filming it.
But it was a real
Walking
murder
around
that
with
people
him,
go
yeah.
around doing. He found some cannibals and he was like, okay, you can kill him, but I need him first and then you can have him.
No, I've got to say, Weekend at Bernie's is a more enjoyable watch than this film, but it's not a better film than this film.
Yeah.
But it's more enjoyable.
Sure. Right, first of all, we've got Sean Pano Nicholson, and he says, "Hello, Busters, it's me, Sean. I hope all is well with the Bustersville economy." How's the Bustersville economy?
It's doing all right, I think, at the moment. We've got an advert.
Yes.
Yeah, we have. We got an advert in a cinema, local
We
cinema.
should
It's
talk
quite
about
nice.
that at the beginning of the thing, not about April Fools.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It only matters for us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He says, "My best is Peter Weir's The Truman Show. I hadn't watched it in a while, but goddamn, it's just so good. So prophetic, relevant, timeless, and above all, really entertaining. Jim Carrey puts in his best performance, in my opinion. He's funny without going over the top, really lovable, and just as a joy to go on the journey with. Ed Harris as the egomaniac Christoph is subtly brilliant. Laura Linney doing adverts in real life is amazing. Damn, I really love this film. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I adore The Truman Show."
Also,
So-
Jamie Russell has mentioned The Truman Show in his review.
Has he?
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's not
we got-
watched it, but he's mentioned. I'm just reading through it.
We got a pattern of her appearing. A pattern
Yes.
with William C. Scott. Does it work a second time?
It does a little.
What do you think of Truman Show, Ben?
I like it. I do like it. It is good.
It's fun.
Yeah,
I think it's just a really clever idea,
it is a clever idea.
and it's pretty beautiful, and it's pretty heartwarming.
It was good.
Yes.
Ed Harris?
Harris,
Is that it?
yeah.
Yeah, Harris.
I like him as a sort of godlike character as well.
Yeah,
And we've all been
yeah.
there as well. We've all fought it.
We've all
Christoph,
thought
innit?
we've been in Truman Show, yeah. He also said, "Worst is 1995's Copycat, but the less said about it, the better. Anyway, I love you guys and keep making these wonderful listens, gems for my ears to enjoy. The world is a better place with the Busters." Well,
Bless you, Sean.
we love you, Sean. I don't even know what Copycat is, so there's no point talking about it.
Yeah, I don't know it.
It is not a good film. It is
Well, there you go.
90s thriller. Sigourney Weaver was attacked by a man once, and he subsequently went to prison because he tried to kill her, and then she years later is sort of a recluse now, but I think she lectures on like psychology, criminal psychology or something like that, and then copycat killings start happening, but the guy is still in prison, so who's doing it?
Oh,
And it's just very bad.
Okay, it doesn't sound as interesting as it.
No.
It's not as interesting as it sounds. Then.
Interesting premise, appalling execution, because almost every actor in it is terrible apart from Sigourney Weaver.
Fair enough.
good old Scorny.
Yep.
All right, next up we have Jamie Russell, and he said, "I've rewatched Pleasantville for the first time in at least a decade, and it remains a delightful, thought-provoking film. It reminds me of The Truman Show.
Oh,
In its approach to considering how audience consume media, as Tobey Maguire's sitcom-obsessed David is magically transported into 1950s small-town America. Now, before you think it will be light and fluffy, I can reassure you that it finds a lot to chew on, and its narrative explores issues such as racism, censorship, and freedom. My daughter loved it as well.
you said that with such ease. Adam.
Yeah, you
'Cause I
did.
reread
That's
it
very well.
I read it before now. If I can
That's very
read it
good.
before, I know what I know
was
where I'm
very
going
good.
with it.
I
Have
haven't
you seen this film? I haven't
I've never
either.
heard. No, I haven't even heard of it really.
I've just added it to the watch list, though.
I'm going to add it to the watch list too. Lovely.
I have to say, if I saw a film was being headed up by Tobey Maguire, I would tend to stay away from it.
But it's got the
Reese
it's got the
Witherspoon.
affirmation
It has.
from Mr. Teacher.
The poster looks interesting. It looks very, what do you call it? What was that show that Marvel did? WandaVision.
Oh, WandaVision.
It's a surefire way to turn me off it immediately.
He's never watching it again.
Well, good. Thanks for that recommendation, Jamie. Hopefully it'd be a bit of an easier watch than Waking Fright was.
Imagine.
And rounding up, we have Julio, who says, "The new Dungeons & Dragons movie didn't need to be over 2 hours long. It's a cute movie, but it keeps teasing an ending, and that's ultimately what I'm going to remember the most about it." I had no idea they were doing this Dungeons & Dragons movie, and then when I went to see something, I think it was Scream, they had the trailer for it, and I was like, before I knew what it was, I was like, this looks rubbish, but also actually kind of entertaining.
I've heard it's quite good.
I've heard it's
I've
fun.
heard good things. Yeah, some fun things from people.
I'm game for it.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Richard Kelly's The Box, while a completely unnecessary expansion on Richard Matheson's short story, was worth watching and came in at just under 2 hours. It loses its way in the middle act when it tries to flesh out a backstory for Matheson's original concept, but it actually sticks the landing with a heartbreaking final sequence. Kelly has only directed 3 movies, and I think everybody should watch all 3 at least once. I haven't seen that. I believe that's the one with Cameron Diaz in it.
Yes.
And
I think I have seen The Box.
The
I
premise
saw it so long ago.
The premise of the original story, I believe, is a stranger brings a box to you and says, "There's a button in it, and if you push it, someone will die." I think.
But you get loads of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
you
from
have seen
memory,
it, and you give it 1.5 stars, Paul.
Yeah, from memory, it goes down a really stupid route. Like, so unconnected from what the original premise is that it's just like, oh my god, really? I won't even go into it because you might want to watch it, but
yeah, I'll probably give it a watch if it's fairly easy to watch. He's a Donnie Darko guy. I didn't reconcile that.
Yeah, Donnie Darko.
And Southland Tales is the other one.
Oh yes, I haven't seen that one in a long time either.
People,
I think isn't Alex a big fan of that?
He is.
From Contrarians, Alex.
I think he is.
Well, thank you. Oh, just dropped my headphone case. Well, thank you, Julio. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ben can go and watch The Box, and I'll just stay away from it.
Yeah.
And Adam will forget you even mentioned it.
Yes. I've had it Pleasantville.
Oh, good. That's the end of the episode. We're going to go record our Patreon episode now. What are we talking about again, Adam?
We're talking about our teacher protagonists.
Yes. Just to follow on from the teacher that's in this film. And the teacher, that is Jamie Russell.
That's all correct.
Thank you. I am correct. If you want to become a patron at www.patreon.com/filmbuffers. Otherwise, we will go and see you on the Clockwork Orange episode.
Wonderful.
Wowawee.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone. Enjoy your Sundays.
Toodle pip.
Make sure you get that Jesus rising from the cave.
Filmbuffers.